Hey everyone, it's Ivan, keepatcha.com. Here we are today on Throwback Thursday, part 36 of the Float Tape series, final episode, wrapping up this trip. But we're picking up where we left off. Basically, we've just left Hawaii, on our way back to the States, CONUS, headed over to port in San Diego, and as we're cutting across, get started with some MCMAP, Marine Corps Martial Arts Program. Here's my good buddy, Sergeant Spera, going over some drills with me. Save you the long drawn out cat and mouse, somehow I ended up submitting him. And here I am rolling with my buddy Sergeant Spera. And he finally got me. One thing that was kind of crazy while we're cruising across is we ended up hitting some really high seas. Not like massive crashing waves, just like really big swells. And because of the direction of our ship, basically took them and started rocking significantly. So much so that Chow Hall pretty much got destroyed.
What? I know
To include the big screen TV. After that, they thought better of it, made a course correction, so we were actually going into the swells rather than parallel to the swells.
Flight deck is cleared to all non-essential personnel. Flotation is required. Say again, flight deck is now secured to all non-essential personnel. Flotation is required.
There was, finally in sight, land. Back home, back to the States, coastline of California. And we started with one of the many times we would stage all of our gear in the next 24 hours.
Yeah, no problem. I got it.
All right, make it short. Fucking back. Make sure you got some empty bag.
I didn't die, so I guess it was fucking must. Good luck, Army. Thanks.
It's always nice to check off those last time you'll do that. And to that end, checking out your weapon from the armory that last time on ship. That's my gun. It's time to go pick up that gear and go offload it. Somehow I was down there doing push-ups, not sure what I did, probably dropped my weapon. Who knows? Then it was time to get aboard the LCAC, Landing Craft Air Cushion. Basically, it's a hovercraft. And if you've never been on one, you probably think it's really cool, but actually you're just sitting inside a box that's incredibly loud. Once we got to shore, all that gear needed to get loaded up again into some moving trucks. So all the sea bags, all the packs, basically made a chain, started hucking that stuff down the chain, get that thing loaded up so that we could head back to Pendleton. Once we got back to Camp Pendleton, got to stage that gear one more time. I'm sure we probably had some long-winded speeches, couldn't just get released after like 7-month deployment or whatever it was, but at any rate, before we did get released, there we were doing some more push-ups with Gunny Terry.
Yep.
Thank you, weapon. Push up. Break on. Right there. Exile. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 5. 1, 2, 3. 6. 1, 2, 3. 7. 1, 2, 3. 8. 1, 2, 3. 9. 1, 2, 3. 10. 1, 2, 3. 11. 1, 2, 3. 12. 1, 2, 3. 13. 1, 2, 3. 14. 1, 2, 3. 15.
Finally, after having been gone for like 7 months, we got released. In that last video, I had mentioned those shirts that I had made and then basically got like my one shirt, my prototype. And I was like, hey, who wants to buy shirts? And I was taking orders on that week while we were transiting between Hawaii and back over to Camp Pendleton. So once we got there, I basically had phoned ahead all these orders, and my mom had brought these shirts down that a little local company had done, and probably made like profit, probably like over $3 grand off of all those shirts. So there I was basically handing out those shirts that people had paid for on the way across. Keep in mind, most people were paying in cash, and I had this like envelope of, I don't know, probably like $4,000 or $5,000 or something like that at that point. And I didn't feel safe with it on me. So I actually had my buddy Seth, who was on the Tiger Cruise with me, he basically held on to all that cash. Not to say someone wouldn't roll him, but the consequences for someone on ship rolling a civilian versus someone rolling like a fellow piece of government property, two different things. So he basically held on to the cash for me. On my way home, I was like, hey, we're gonna have a welcome home party for you. What would you like? And I was like, you know what I want? I want a girl jumping out of a cake. That's what I want. And you know what I got? I got a girl jumping out of a cake. That welcome home party was pretty amazing. And honestly, the entire country was kind of a different place back then. Early 2002. And looking at it through the lens of time, here we are, the beginning of 2021, been basically mired over in the Middle East for coming up on 2 decades, which is pretty disappointing. My story with that deployment and largely the Marine Corps pretty much ended then. I ended up getting out another month or so later on like terminal leave or something like that. And my good buddies, Sergeant Aspera, as well as Sergeant Colbert, and a bunch of other people from my platoon, whether it was Lieutenant Fick or Garza, Leon, all those guys, or just other guys that were actually on that deployment too, like basically over there with 1st Recon, with Sergeant Colbert, like Rudy Reyes, stuff like that. All those guys went on, I bowed out, and yeah, they ended up getting pulled, go over to Iraq, the whole generation kill, if you're familiar with that. But yeah, that was pretty much the end of my deployment and more or less the end of my time in the Marine Corps. Overall, pretty awesome time. Definitely grateful, like on that deployment, none of our Marines, or I don't think, well, I take that back. I think a few people actually did end up getting injured. I don't think anyone got killed though. Maybe one person did, maybe EOD or something like that. Clearing some minefields up by Kandahar, but overall incredibly fortunate with respect to like platoon, company, everything like that. But that right there was my deployment with the 15th MEU SOC back in the day. But as always, thanks for joining us at kitbadger.com. Look forward to seeing you next time.
God, you must be kidding me. Thought that you were supposed to be the home of the brave and the free.
Set.
Hey mom, here, give me. I was supposed to film this.
Yeah. Welcome home.
Thank you.
Hey.
Hey Mary. How's it going?